how is this different? Has this been the most like attention that you've gotten in your career this far?
I think my debut was very similar, The debut had a lot of attention too. So thankfully, I'm kind of used to it now. Then my debut got me ready for this. So I think the hardest part is really like to lose weight and have all the media, like to be focusing. Not even just to lose weight. The lose weight is okay, but to be here and be smiling and to have your mouth not be dry, it's hard. That's the hardest part. But the attention I like, I like to talk about, to answer people's questions. I think it's so important that the people get to know me on a different level, not just see me in the ring, but when they get to know me for Mackenzie, like how I think, how I train, what I think about my opponent, all these things, because I think that's what will inspire people, will get people to support me, winning or losing, people judge so much, so for people to get to really know who I am, that's what all this media is for, so for me it's fine.
You touched on it. You were in the middle of a weight cut, and we know that your cut is a little hard. And here you are, smiling and doing all this stuff. And you're always, it seems like this is really you. That's very your personality. But does it ever get like frustrating, or is there ever a point where you're like, I wish I didn't have to do this now? Like, how do you stay so positive, really?
Oh, for sure. Like when I'm in my hotel room and I'm taking a nap, trying to rest because I know I'm gonna go cut weight, and then I see like the schedule. Okay, I have 2 interviews. I think like, oh man, like I just want to sleep more. But then as soon as I get here, I see everyone's energy. It's impossible to not get excited, And I think this energy, the media, is what makes the fight real. If we didn't have this, I think it would be hard to turn on that like fighting mode, So I'm happy, I'm smiling, I don't have like any disrespect for my opponent, but without like this media and these questions and everything, it's hard to like really click your mind like, okay, I'm gonna punch in the face, But with all these questions, you start to say like, yeah, I'm gonna be in a fight,
You mentioned disrespect earlier. Did you ever have that situation like in your jiu-jitsu days, like where an opponent was like, she's not very good, it's an easy fight, Is this kind of new territory for you?
Yeah, for sure it's new. I think maybe like twice in jiu-jitsu, like that I had some disrespect like that. Like one was probably like Gabby Garcia, when I fought her, and but it's like very, very rare in jiu-jitsu. We fight each other all the time. In like 3 months, you can fight the same person like 4 times. So you can talk bad, but then like 2 weeks later, you see them and you fight again. It's like awkward, It's like, oh man, And then maybe you win one and lose one, and then So it's very MMA. We don't have that, You fight the person once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times the most if it's like 1-1 and you have a break, to see the third. But it's very rare you fight the same person like 5 times, So I don't feel any disrespect from Amanda Cooper, I saw her like on the street going to the beach and I was running, like shook her hand and everything. But it's different like to hear the person like saying like, oh, she's not good at this, she's not good at that, she's not. So like, man, like, yeah, I'm surprised, that she say like all of that, But at the same time, I understand, to sell the fight. Sometimes the people need to put that in their mind to really have that fighting spirit, I think jiu-jitsu helped me. That I know it's like professional. If she beats me, if I beat her, I'm gonna treat her the same after the fight, no matter what.
So you mentioned how many fights is this in the last year? You've had like 4 or 5 fights within the last 7 months, right?
Yeah, in 7 months with 4 fights.
Well,
they do like 3 to 4 fights in like 1 year,
So with all those weight cuts, all that training, all the media, how are you not getting burnt out? Or do you feel that coming,
I think if this fight was somewhere else, no, if they didn't have this card, for sure I wouldn't fight right now, because I think it's a lot, I feel like I want to break, but I knew that fighting in Rio would give me so much motivation. I would be like, no way I could miss that opportunity, and when as soon as they raised my hand, I promise, the first thing in my mind was like, okay, if I'm not hurt, I'm going to ask to be on that Rio card, If they give me a question on the microphone, I'm going to ask to be on the card, So I went to the backstage, and then they gave me the opportunity, like, when you want to fight next? I said, like, oh, you want to fight Rio, At the first I said, like, okay, I'm not injured. Okay, I can do another camp. Let's go,
And, a lot of fighters, they visualize their fights. Do you visualize your fights, and do you visualize your walkout in this arena on Saturday?
A little bit. I know how it's gonna be a little, but more like on the trainings. My coaches when we finish, because I try to push myself a lot in the training. I'm very tough on myself, so sometimes I get not put down, but I'm like, I want to do everything perfect, So if I mess up one thing, I start to get like, crazy. And my coaches, they push me like, okay, raise your hands, you won the fight, And so they push me a lot to visualize. But me by myself, I don't do so much. More my dreams. When I always before I fight, I'm dreaming, like that I never dreamt that I lost, But I'm dreaming, and like sometimes I dream that I'm like on the girl's back in the fight, and the crowd is cheering. And then I wake up before, and I want to go back to see how the ending was, Like, okay, did she tap? What happened, So that's usually the most like visualization I have, is when my dreams, like my own subconscious,
And is this your first fight with your new camp?
Yeah.
Is this your first MMA fight away from the lab?
Yes.
How is that? I mean, that's different. Everything's different. Can you kind of talk about any jitters or excitement about that?
Yeah, I'm excited. It was something unexpected. I've had 6 fights with MMA Lab. I was expecting to go all the way to the belt with the lab. So it's a surprise for me after my MMA debut to get the news that I wasn't on the team anymore. But like the first 2 days, I was kind of like, oh man, how is this gonna be? And I was already training with people in California. I was spending half my camps, half the week in California, half the week in Arizona. So I was already training with people in California when I was there, like striking stuff. So when I went to California, like 2 days later, man, it was so easy. Like they just received me with open arms, and people like was on the no, we're gonna do this. They made like a camp so organized for me. Ended up being like perfect. So, and even better was that I was able to have like that balanced lifestyle that I like to have. Was able to like enjoy my camp on the beach, with friends, like a lot of friends from Brazil that are down there, like good people on the beach, like the lifestyle I like, to make it want to be good to train, relax, be ready for the next training, Thank you.